ISIS is threatening to execute another American journalist as revenge against U.S. airstrikes in Iraq. And this just in, the Pentagon confirming the U.S. tried and failed to rescue American hostages held by ISIS in Syria. Our on-the-record experts are standing by, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, Ambassador John Bolton. But first, news from intelligence, new intelligence into Fox News from Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge. Catherine.
Well, thank you, Greta, very much. What we were able to confirm tonight is that there was a very unusual statement on the record from the Pentagon and the White House that the administration, through the president, had authorized a rescue mission to free a number of American hostages held in Syria by ISIS. The operation involving air and ground forces, but the mission failed because the hostages were not at the targeted location. Now, the intelligence value of the video, what we understand, it goes far beyond the identification of the American journalist James Foley and Steven Sotloff. The analysis includes the identification of the executioner, whether he is a known jihadist to the FBI, as well as the date and location where the beheading was carried out. The fact that Sotloff and Foley were together, possibly in an ISIS stronghold of Raqqa, shows a level of sophistication and coordination. And while U.S. officials say at least 2 other Americans are being held by ISIS, including Sotloff, who was in the video, and a U.S. aid worker, today the State Department offered few details. The video and its horrifying simplicity carry multiple messages from ISIS and its objectives. These orange jumpsuits are synonymous in jihadi propaganda with Guantanamo Bay, even though the prison clothing was abandoned more than a decade ago. And today, the State Department hinted very strongly that the Obama administration is going to rely on a law enforcement model, including a traditional FBI investigation, to bring Foley's killers to justice. Yet U.S. intelligence officials have complained to Fox News in the past about the difficulty of operating in Syria and Iraq, and that is what we saw with this failed mission earlier this summer.
Okay, what's with the timing? I mean, it's the Pentagon bragging about a failure, about a secret mission. That's not a leak. They're telling us.
I can't remember in recent memory when we had on-the-record confirmation from the Pentagon and from the White House about a mission that was not successful. And the way that I see events laying out now is that the president has communicated very clearly that the bombing strikes are going to continue in Iraq. ISIS has a track record of doing what it says it will do, and they have said that they will murder more Americans. And this seems to me an effort to kind of insulate or inoculate the administration for what may be, unfortunately, the inevitable, that more Americans are going to die this week.
Or, as I posted on Greta Wire, is that the president looks like he really cares as he goes off to play golf, that he really cares, that he's really engaged because he ordered this mission, which is an abject failure. But that's even another story about our intelligence gathering. But anyway, Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
And ISIS ending its chilling video with a warning that another American journalist, Steven Sotloff, is next. He could be the next captive beheaded. Meanwhile, the U.S. continuing its airstrikes against ISIS. Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North joins us. Good evening, sir. And the report that Catherine just says is that they're going to treat the death of this journalist like a law enforcement operation.
Stunning. Yeah,
breathtaking.
Well, and he didn't say that today in his remarks. He did. First of all, my condolences to the family and my prayers for them, because what they've witnessed is just horrific, the Foley family. Second, he talked at length about the horrors being perpetrated by ISIS. And then he says at the end of this, and this is a quote, "We will act against ISIL standing alongside others." What the hell does that mean? I mean, and again, I had the great blessing of working for a president who made decisions, acted, and then talked. So when Ronald Reagan said, "You can run, but you can't hide," we already had the terrorists in hand before they hijacked the cruise ship Achille Lauro. Here's what I think is happening right now, particularly with this announcement today, the recognition of what Catherine just said about, there's probably going to be more Americans killed. Here's the facts as we know them. And from what I've gathered since that remarkable release that was conducted here just a few moments ago. Number one, Foley and the other Americans were being held by a Free Syrian Army organization that did not get the support that they'd been promised.
That was in Syria.
In Syria. Free Syrian Army. And they eventually got rolled up by ISIL, or ISIS, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves this week. And at that point, they turned over the prisoners. The raid is conducted after they'd been moved from point A to point B, proving what Catherine has said and what we've been saying all along. Our human intelligence is abysmal. We do everything by signals intelligence.
We've got a CIA director who has gotten caught lying, and he, anyway, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no real clandestine service on the ground. So human intelligence is not existent. When they conducted the raid, they found out they weren't there. We now know where they are. They're in the hands of ISIS, ISIL, IS, and they are going to be murdered. I mean, this is the horrible fact of life on the ground. And what the president is saying when he says, we're going to act standing alongside others, it's hollow. It means nothing. And here's why you know. There's no second carrier battle group that's been deployed to the Mediterranean. There are no extra marine expeditionary units that have been sent out. Those things have to happen.
Well, let me one-up you, is that he said on Monday, I'm looking at his answer to a question from Steve Holland of Reuters when he had the press conference, he said that they said that a group like that is contained. That's what we want to do, is contain them, because ultimately they pose a threat to us. Everyone else says that ISIS is mobile. We've got Prime Minister David Cameron coming off his holiday because he's worried about what's going on in Britain. We've got the Iraqi ambassador the United States who told me last night, he's going to be back here tonight, that ISIS is on the move, and he says it's a real threat to us, and we're trying to contain evil people?
What has to be done, there has to be a decision made, and this president can do it like that. He's got a pen, and he's got a telephone. Start attacking ISIS C-Cube, command, control, and communications nodes inside Syria. You can't give terrorist organizations a safe haven. If we've learned nothing since Vietnam, a safe haven is a formula for disaster.
Well, Secretary of State John Kerry has tweeted that ISIS must be eliminated. So he's not trying to contain it, at least he's trying to eliminate them.
Well, but the only way to do that is to go after the safe havens. The command, control, and communications, the high-value targets, the logistics facilities, all of those are in Syria. That's where all the M1 tanks...
Well, what about our bad intelligence?
Well,
I mean, it's like...
You can see this stuff. You can look down from overhead and see the tanks and the artillery pieces and the arsenals and the armories, and this administration isn't doing it. God knows why.
Why?
Well, I hope it's not because they're coordinating with the Ayatollahs in Tehran.
It couldn't be that.
You hope not. I hope not,
I don't
too.
think so. I don't think so at all. Anyway, I mean, it's like this is, I mean, and the whole thought, too, is that journalists are, at least, we're sort of helpful on the ground in terms of trying to bring information to protect other people, but what news organization is going to be sending journalists anymore?
I'll go.
No, I know you'll go, but anyway, Colonel North, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And President Obama finishing his remarks.